Hi, I think I'm live on YouTube. Well, I did want to do a bit of an author reading. Got a couple of books to mention here. So, Skin Game is the new one that I've just published. That's available now. Check out my author page on Amazon or my website. This is a re release. This is Personal, which is a novella, and it was actually the sequel to People Person, which was the first. People Person was the first book that I published with Shadow, and then Personal was the follow up with the same characters. Now, Skin Game is a sequel, technically. It's the sequel to Fear of Flying, but it is very much a standalone. You could just read this one off the bat and you wouldn't, everything, I catch you up on everything and all the characters. And then you can go back and read Fear of Flying after that if you would like. I'd be delighted, of course. So I thought I'd just read the first few chapters. We'll see how we get on with YouTube. It's ever so cold in New Orleans tonight. It was cold last night as well. Very unseasonable, I feel. I was not here last winter when you all had snow. I was back in London for Christmas, but this year I'm going to be here. So, yeah, ever so cold. I'm not used to this. I thought that I wouldn't need a winter coat and gloves, etc. for New Orleans, but apparently sometimes we do. But I hear that winter just visits New Orleans. It doesn't come to stay. I'm holding on to that. I hope that's true. I think that's true. People have said that. Anyway, so this is from Skin Game. This is the beginning. Prologue. So the prologue chapter heading is Death of a Hook. And it says the date is April 2025. So it starts like this. In New Orleans, you can never be sure whether you're hearing fireworks or gunshots. There are two loud explosions over Decatur. Misha stumbles backwards and falls gracefully down to the sidewalk. Her face is illuminated by the sign for DP Dough Pizzas and Calzones. Open Crazy Late is being projected over her collapsed body. Out of the shadows steps the young guy in his grey sweatsuit. No one can remember whether they actually saw a gun. Shootings in the French Quarter are rare and usually very late at night, after the bars have closed. This is evening, and the watery sun has only just set. It is shocking. No one can quite believe it, and so it goes unnoticed. The usual hubbub of tourists push their way past, walking to Governor Nichols so they can get to Bourbon. If any of them see the fat old woman lying on her back on the street, they assume she is having a good night. But before long, a good Samaritan recognizes that she has been shot dead. She also has a man's tie pulled tight around her neck, though whether this is a method of murder or just to send a message is not clear. One of the nearby police cars that are always parked up to regulate the traffic flow and look out for trouble comes carefully through the crowd along that section of Lower Decatur Street. The cops inside spring out to help Misha and to close off the street, but it's too late for anyone to do anything. She's already gone. When Miss Julie hears the news, she feels anger. Misha was a pain, but she did not deserve for her life to be cut short like this. And why? Misha would be unable to contain her excitement when she had any money. If she had $6 in her purse, it would fill her mind. She would fizz and yell and dance and sing while she thought of 100 things she didn't need that she could buy with it immediately. Then she would in fact spend it several times over. She was perhaps an irritating woman, Misha, but she did not deserve to be killed like this for no reason. Julie did not approve of that. It was for God to decide when your number is up. Misha had a reputation around town for putting folks under pressure to donate money to her. Some said she went as far as to blackmail people for their most shameful secrets. At least Lopez was safely in prison when it happened, Julie tells Charles, the idiotic detective. I told you he had nothing to do with this case. Like you, I am working on the assumption that both murders were carried out by the same person and for connected reasons, Charles grunts. But Lopez could have an accomplice. He could have paid or leaned on someone to get the second murder done while he was locked up. You don't believe that, Julie scoffs. I don't think you ever saw him as a serious suspect in this. How about Emmanuel then? Charles seems to genuinely want her opinion. Or Cindy. She was pretty angry with Misha. But remember, we think that the same person who killed Misha was also at my party and poisoned Roosevelt there. Cindy was not at the party. Why not? Where was she? Says Charles. She was at Ophelia's house, Julie tells him, minding the two young boys so Ophelia could have a well-deserved night out. The ambulance crawls down the busy road and stops by Misha. The EMTs get out and come to put her on a stretcher and carry her away. They put a pale green tarp over her to give her a little privacy, a little dignity. They try CPR, but it is clear that the poor woman is past help. Once they drive away, all that is left is some of Misha's dark blood on the road, mixing with the rainwater and whatever else is always coating the streets of the French Quarter. It could be the same deal if you think about it, Julie continues to muse. Someone at my party could have been persuaded to poison the champagne. The real killer could have paid an attendee to do it, or conspired with someone who did attend to carry out the murder by proxy. Charles asks her, well, who in your circle knew that Roosevelt was coming to give you a share of his fortune? Well, Julie thinks about this. Everyone, basically. You can't keep that sort of thing quiet, not here. Though New Orleans seems like a big city, anyone who lives there will tell you it is a gossipy small town. True enough, Charles agrees. And who, if anyone, would want to prevent Roosevelt from sharing his money with you? We found a wife and two sons, but they are already very well provided for. She was nowhere near the Pont d'Avignon hotel that night, and we can't find any link at all between them and anyone at your party. Neither his wife nor his sons have ever been to New Orleans. Now we move on to chapter 1, which is called Pity Pat. I hope that the audio is okay. I'm having to run the faucets slightly because I'm worried that they might freeze overnight. I might just pause this live stream while I check. I'm going to listen back and make sure that you can't hear the running water and that my microphone, well, I say microphone, it's just the laptop picking me up. So I'm going to listen back to it, make sure that it's not crackly, and then I will continue with chapter 1, which is called Pity Pat. And for this, we go back in time because this date is set August 2024, where Death of a Hook, the prologue that we just heard, was April 2025, so about 9 months later. So we're going back in time to find out how we got to that point. I'll see you soon. This is exciting. Oh my God, I don't know how to end the stream. Or maybe I press the big button that says end stream.